Okay. So when you start out as a soul, you get created as something: rock, tree, ground, earth, air, whatever. You become something one dimensional. You have no idea that you're anything other than what your job is to be. You don't know anything. You run on instinct. Then you become a two-dimensional being in a two-dimensional body. And that means that you're able to move in some way. You're a tree where you can actually grow and communicate with other trees. Cat, dog, bird, snake, whatever. Fish, something that's two-dimensional that now moves and can go from one place to another. And now you start learning pack. You start learning other. You start learning similarities, those of your group and those of another. Then you start forming bonds in that way. We're all trees in a copse, or a group of trees. Grass on the ground. We're growing together. You start learning that for lack of a better word, that brotherhood ideology, that clan mentality of self, but of oneness with many. So it's an instinct that you protect yourself by having more of yourself. So that way, if a wolf comes and you're deers, then you protect the herd, you protect the weak. You start getting that instinct. Okay, then you move up from there. Again, it's up. You're moving up and spiraling, and you're moving up. Then you move up to the next dimension. First dimension or density, second dimension in density, third dimension in density. There's places of third dimension in density. When you're here, it's the first time. It is you being self-aware. So not only am I just alive, I have value. I don't want to be dead. I want to live. Therefore, I am something. I think, therefore, I am. Now your motivation is, I want to preserve my own life. That is self-serving, but quickly you also realize, wait, I care for these people. I want to preserve their life. So then their life. Then you start making that decision of caring for others or just caring for yourself. That is third dimension. So then you move here. From here, you start to spiral upward. You start to expand your consciousness from the physical to the non-physical. And in doing so, you start losing the individuality because of the physicality. Physicality is individuality. Then you start learning the non-physical body. And so that's non-physical. That's no longer I, just me, only me. You start thinking about the we. You start thinking about more than yourself. So you move up into the fourth dimension, then the fifth dimension. And as you're doing that, you're moving. Now you have to remember that as above, so below, as within, so without, as below, so above. So as the microcosm, the macrocosm. Okay. So everything that is manifest in the physical manifests in the spiritual as well. All right. So that's in the different religions with your belief system and your ideology. If you had but the mustard seed amount of faith, you could literally say to a mountain, move from here to there, and it would. Okay. Meaning you can change the reality. You're in control of that because you're part of the creator, not part of the creation. Okay, so that's why I tell you all this isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. So you're moving into the non-physical outside of time to where time is just a physical movement from one place to another. And you can actually transport yourself non-physically from one place to another and actually take on a physical body in that place when you move up high enough and learn how to do that. So as you're doing that, you start learning the collective. Then you learn the individuality, then you relearn the collective, and you start thinking about the collective. And you start learning in this physical place that when you're with somebody, if you're related to them, or if you're married to them, or if you're really good friends with them and you've been with them for a long time, you start thinking alike, you start answering questions the same, you start answering each other's sentences because you start opening up and trusting each other so much that you start connecting on a non-physical way in a non-physical plane. You start connecting with one another, and you don't realize that's what you're doing when you're living down here in the physical, that you're actually starting to blend with that person in a way because of the trust and the love, to where you start moving the same, moving together. There's that trust and that bond that starts when you're down here in the number 2 dimension, when you're running around as a pack of animals. protecting each other in the herd. And that herd mentality starts to translate into a non-physical when you get away from only thinking about yourself.